Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma Carroll, and today I'm going to talk to you about a project that I done last summer at the University of Edinburgh with Ewan McAndrew, where I was trying to locate the places of residence for the accused Scottish witches. So the project was working with the Survey of Scottish Witchcraft database. This database is a really vast database that contains all of the information about Scottish witchcraft in Scotland at a time when it was illegal, around the 1500s to the 1700s. So this has information about every single one of the named accused witches. And for the project, I was trying to bring this data set to life and create different types of visualizations. Now, there were places of residence mentioned within the dataset for 341 of the accused witches. So I tried to locate these places. However, it wasn't as easy as it sounds because the places that are mentioned within the dataset no longer existed for many of them, because with time, place names have changed. So we cannot use modern day maps to be able to find these places. So I was using a mix of historical sources such as Ordnance Survey 1800 maps, gazetteers, place name books, and also got help from different historians as well to help with the project. And through this, I was able to identify these different place names. And when I'd been able to identify the place names, I used Wikidata as a platform to host all of the information together in one place. So I would have the accused witch and I would link them to their place of residence, and this would have the coordinate points, which could then be used to plot on a map. Once we'd been able to locate the place of residence, I then worked on trying to add other pieces of information, such as their place of trial, their place of detainment, their place of death, their occupation, any pieces of information that could really help bring this data set to life more. And this was all then added onto Wikidata and could then be queried for using the Wikidata query service. So when I'd been able to query for them using the Wikidata query service, we were then able to create loads of different types of visualizations. And these visualizations are all hosted on the witches.is website. So you're able to go onto the website and explore the webpage if you're interested. And one of the main types of visualizations that we created was made using Leaflet, while other ones were used making ArcGIS Online as well. And these visualizations were trying to tell different stories about the data. So for example, there was a map with information about their places of residence, which can be seen in the left-hand corner, while there were other ones where we were trying to link up between their place of residence and their place of death. And all of these maps were trying to just tell different stories about the data sets. And some of them also were focused on individual people that were mentioned within the dataset to try and bring their stories more to life. Not only did we work with the accused witches, but also some of the people associated with the trial. So the map in the middle is trying to show the places of residence for some of the people associated with the trial, such as like judges and things like that. When it comes to challenges that were related to the project, I would say that for me, definitely working with Wikidata was very new. I never worked with it before, and this was a 3-month internship that I worked on, so I had to learn it quite quickly and be able to do a lot with it. There's a lot of online sources out there, and I was able to get help from people in the Wikidata community, which made it a lot easier. So if you're interested in learning how to use it, there's definitely the resources out there. Also, I would say something that I wasn't aware of before was exactly what a project that was made during on Wikidata was actually capable of, as beforehand I'd never really known exactly how big these projects could be. However, with the website, it's been really popular with like 130,000 views. So definitely something that's made using Wikidata can still have a really big impact. and also the basics of historical maps. I'd never really worked with historical maps before, more from a geology background, so I found it really interesting to be able to use these historical maps and learn all about the different ways that places have changed with time. And also another big challenge was being able to locate these places, as we were then using such a mix of resources, and it took a lot of time to be able to find these places. So it was really good to be able to find so many of them. And I would say with future opportunities that there's a lot of other opportunities out there to be able to work with this data set itself. It's really vast and there's a lot of information in there. However, from a geographical location point of view, I would say that it would be really good to be able to create some kind of app that had all of this information in one place that was easy to use if you were on a phone. Also, more analysis of the results. Definitely, there's so much that's been found with this project. It'd be really good just to look into it more and see what else it's trying to tell you. And also to try and bring more of the stories to life. There's so many accused witches mentioned and people associated with the trial that are shown on this map. That it would be really good to try and draw into some of these people and kind of make it aware of the different people that were mentioned within this data set and are shown on the maps. And lastly, I would say that definitely with this project, we were able to find out of over 800 places, different place names. We were able to find all but about 15, 20. So definitely if people were interested in kind of historical place name finding, you can find them on the website, and if they know any of these, it would be really useful. And also there's definitely more work that can be done with the people associated with the trial as well, as not all of these people have been found with their exact location, so that would be a project in itself. So there's definitely more that can be done, and I think it's been a really good project to be part of. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Emma. Those wonderful visualizations that you had in the middle of your presentation there. We've got a couple of excellent questions that have come through. The first one is, what would your advice be for a new intern trying to get to terms with Wikidata for the first time?
I would say that definitely I would try and just practice doing different easier examples and just kind of play with it and see what you can do. There's definitely a lot of different resources out there as well, so if you're interested in learning about it, definitely just spend some time and see what you can do with it from the start, and then you can build up from there.
Great. And the second question, you touched on this in your presentation. How did you cope with some location information being modern and some being historical? Did you have to record it in different ways?
Well, we tried to, basically, if the name had changed, we noted this down on Wikidata, and it can be seen in the actual place itself as a second name. But we've, I think, tried to use the most modern names, but there's both of the names there, so people can refer to that. I think it was difficult in the way that many of the places, the names that had been used in some of the sources were never used again. So it didn't really make sense to necessarily keep it as the historical name if no one knew what that was anymore. So just basically keeping them both together made it clearer.
Great, thank you. We're rapidly running out of time, so I'll just tell you that your project and the Open Refine tutorial apparently inspired the Mapping the Scottish Reformation project team to use Wikidata. So that's a great piece of impact in an academic setting for you. And also, why do you think this project particularly captured the imagination of the media in Scotland?
I think that witchcraft in Scotland has been such a massive part of the history that people are really interested in it, as it's something quite abstract. It's a really different idea. You can't really imagine that happening now, so in the same way. So I think it's just like a really interesting part of Scottish history that people know something about, but it was perhaps not as clear that there was this much information about it that was widely available.
Great, thank you. Thanks again, Emma. If you could just stop sharing your screen now, I'll pass
Thanks.
back to John, who will introduce our next speaker.
Great, thanks.
Hi, so my wife is Scottish and her family live in a very obscure, remote part of the Scottish Highlands, which we were delighted to see had not one but two witches. We were extremely pleased about that in our family. So the next speaker is Martin Poulter, who's a Wikimedia consultant, and so I will now pass over to Martin.
Okay, hi everybody.